I started into that conference room like I owned the entire star system, because let's be honest, I practically did. My scales gleamed under the sterile lighting of the station, each one polished to perfection, catching the light in ways that scream superiority. The doors hissed shut behind me with a satisfying finality. This was going to be easy. The craft Dominion had sent me, Ambassador Vex Thornax, to handle what they called a delicate situation. Delicate. There was nothing delicate about it. These humans had established a mining colony on Kepler-7, a planet we had marked for expansion 3 cycles ago. They needed to leave. Simple as that. And I was here to make sure they understood that reality. Preferably, groveling. I had negotiated with a ring collective, those tentacled nightmares who could crush starships with their bare appendages. I had stared down the hive queens of Sector 9, whose very presence made most species lose control of their bodily functions. Humans? Please. There were the galaxy's newest members, barely 2 centuries into space travel. Soft little mammals who somehow stumbled into faster-than-light technology and thought that made them special. My 4 eyes scanned the room with practiced disdain. Standard diplomatic setup, long table, too many chairs, the kind of sterile environment designed to make everyone equally uncomfortable. Neutral territory, they called it. I called it boring. Then I saw her. The human sat at the far end of the table, and my first thought, I am not ashamed to admit, was that someone had sent a child to negotiate with me. She was tiny, maybe 1.6 meters tall if I was being generous. Her frame looked like it could snap in a light breeze. No scales, no armor plating, no bioweapons sprouting from her shoulders, just pale skin, dark hair pulled back in some sort of functional arrangement, and these absurdly small hands folded on the table in front of her. She wore a uniform, dark blue with some patches and insignia that probably meant something to humans. Military, maybe? Did it matter? She looked like she weighed less than my left arm. My left arm! Captain Elena Torres, she said, standing up and extending one of those ridiculous little hands toward me. United Earth Coalition, Colonial Defense Corps. Thank you for meeting with me today, Ambassador Vex Thorax. I stared at the hand. Was she serious? Did she really expect me to participate in this bizarre human touching ritual? I had read about it in the briefing files. Handshakes, they called them, some primitive greeting custom left over from their pre-spaceflight days, supposedly to show you were not carrying weapons, as if hiding a weapon in those tiny appendages was even possible. I ignored the hand completely and settled my bulk into the reinforced chair across from her. It creaked under my weight. Good. Let her hear exactly what a real warrior species sounded like when they sat down. Let us skip the pleasantries, human, I said, making sure my translator carried the full weight of my contempt. My voice rumbled through the chamber, deep and resonant, the kind of sound that made prey species instinctively flee. You are occupying Kepler-7. That planet falls within craft territorial claims. You have 30 standard days to evacuate your colony, or we will remove you. Forceb, she lowered her hand slowly, no expression crossing her face. Then she sat back down, those dark eyes never leaving mine. Not all 4 of mine, of course. Humans only had 2 eyes. How they managed to not constantly walk into walls was beyond me. Ambassador, she said, her voice calm, almost bored. Kepler-7 was unclaimed when we arrived 4 years ago. We have established infrastructure, homes, farms. 3,000 people live there now. We are not leaving. I laughed, actually laughed.
The sound echoed off the walls, harsh and sharp. This was going to be even easier than I thought. "Not leaving?" I repeated, still chuckling. The sound came out like gravel grinding against metal. "Oh, that is rich. That is truly magnificent. Did you hear that from your superiors, or did you come up with that bit of comedy on your own?" Elena did not react. She just sat there, hands still folded, face completely neutral. It was unsettling in a way I did not want to admit. Most species had tells. The fringe changed color when agitated. The sailcloth released pheromones. Even the stoic granite folk showed micro-expressions in their crystalline facets. This human? Nothing. Blank as a powered-down monitor. "Let me explain something to you, Captain Torres," I said, leaning forward, letting my full 2.8 meters of height cast a shadow over the table. "The craft Dominion has conquered 47 star systems. 47. We have broken species that had been spacefaring for millennia before your ancestors figured out how to make fire. Do you understand what I am telling you?" "I understand you perfectly, Ambassador," she replied, her voice still maddeningly even. "You are threatening military action against a peaceful human colony." "Threatening?" I slammed one of my clawed hands on the table. The metal buckled slightly under the impact. "No, no, no. I am not threatening anything. I am explaining reality to you. The craft are warriors. We have bred for combat for 10,000 generations. Our children fight in arena trials before they can even speak. Our weakest soldiers could tear through your strongest with their bare claws." I gestured at her with one long talon, making sure she got a good look at the serrated edge. "Look at you. You are built like prey. Soft skin that tears at the slightest pressure, no natural weapons, no armor plating. You probably cannot even survive in a standard oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere without climate control." "Are you finished?" she asked. The audacity, the sheer audacity of this tiny mammal. "Finished?" My laugh came out more as a snarl this time. "I have barely started, human. Kepler-7 sits on the largest deposit of rare Amorian this sector. That mineral is worth more than your entire species' gross domestic product. You think we are going to let you keep it because you planted some crops and built a few habitats? You think 3,000 soft, fragile humans are going to stand against the craft military?" "We have stood against worse," Elena said, quietly. I almost choked. "Worse? Worse than what? Have you fought the craft before? No. Have you ever even seen real combat? Your species has been at peace for nearly a century. You have gone soft, complacent. You negotiate with words and treaties and handshakes. I spat that word like it was poisonous. The craft negotiate with plasma cannons and orbital bombardment." "Ambassador Vex," she said, and there was something in her tone now, something I could not quite identify. "I strongly suggest you reconsider your position. We do not want conflict, but if you force our hand, you will regret it." I stared at her for a long moment. Then I threw my head back and roared with laughter. It went on for a good 20 seconds. I couldn't help myself, the sheer absurdity of it all. "Regretted?" I finally managed to gasp out between laughs. "Oh, that is perfect. The human threatens me, Vex Thornax, who has personally led 17 planetary invasions, who has broken siege lines that had held for decades, who has crushed opponents 3 times my size." I leaned in close enough that she could probably feel my breath, hot and rank. "What exactly are you going to do, little human? Negotiate me to death? File a formal complaint? Maybe you'll write a strongly worded letter to the Galactic Council." I spread my arms wide in mock invitation. Please, enlighten me. How does a species that barely qualifies as a threat to their own planet plan to stand against the craft Dominion? Elena stood up slowly, very slowly, and something in the way she moved made my secondary stomach clench. I think, she said softly, it is time for a history lesson, Ambassador. The temperature in the room had not changed. The lighting remained the same. Nothing physical had shifted, and yet somehow everything felt different. Elena walked slowly around the table, her movements deliberate, controlled. I tracked her with all four eyes, suddenly very aware that I had lost sight of her hands. "Tell me, Ambassador," she said, her voice carrying a weight it had not held before. "What do you know about Earth, our home world?" I scoffed, though the sound came out weaker than I intended.